Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we're back once again with the heel turn. Yeah, my voice doesn't sound good. Sick, but we're gonna power through this thing. We're gonna get through it. We got week 3 coming up, and let's jump into it. I wish I had memorized my picks record from last week so I could update everybody, but I guess we can just put that at the bottom of the screen. I'll have Brian do that. Anyways, we're going to start with Buffalo hosting their child, the Miami Dolphins. Buffalo ass whooping, took the Jets down. I mean, I didn't think we were gonna beat them that bad. They looked like they had a little bit of fight in them against Pittsburgh, but I mean, what are you gonna do? The best teams in the league are gonna beat other teams that aren't so great, and it's just what happens. Justin Fields looked like a mess. That Jets offense never got it going. They could not figure it out. And Josh Allen didn't really have to do it. It's one of those games where Josh Allen just doesn't have to do a lot. James Cook was the star of that game. Looked like worth every penny he was paid. A good game from Buffalo. Miami, they were finding themselves a little bit. Credit to them in that New England game. They looked like by the end of it they were starting to find themselves. They could have won that game. Credit to them. Maybe they're starting to figure it out. Maybe some issues are being relieved. Who knows? But like I had said, they don't want to go to Buffalo on Thursday night being down 0-2 because they're going to be looking at 0-3, baby. Like, this is not the place you want to be, a place you can't win against a team you can't beat, a team that's had your number for years now, against a quarterback that you have beaten twice since the year 2018. And those 2 times you've beaten them were at your house. You haven't done it in Buffalo, and that I'm trying to think of any year before that. Might be 17, 16. It wasn't 17 either. I know it wasn't 17 because that's when Buffalo went to the playoffs that year. So I know it wasn't. Maybe I don't think it was 17 either. I may be right or wrong about that, but it's been a while, and it doesn't end here. Buffalo's going to give it to them. Give it to them. Get a nice, Buffalo got a very nice start of their schedule this season. I'm very appreciative of that. 4 home games in the first 5, and the only road trip down to Jersey. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better way to start off the season. Give me Buffalo by 10, like 10, maybe even more. Who knows? You got Carolina and Atlanta. Carolina, another team that started to show signs of life. They again looked like the team they looked like week 1 for first half of that game against the Cardinals. They were getting mollywopped, getting beaten. And it's like, where's Bryce Young? What is wrong with this team? Is he ass now? Is he ass again? And by the end of it, they showed, they couldn't finish it. They couldn't complete it, but they showed some signs of, hey, maybe we're not dead yet. Maybe there's still something here. Maybe just we had a rough first 6 quarters of our season. It happens. And on the other end, you have Atlanta, who made me buy in. They won. Okay, let's give them credit. They won. But they made me buy into the hype of Michael Penix, who turned into nothing but a handoff merchant this last week. It was disgusting. If you had Michael Penix in fantasy like me, and you're like, ooh, look at all the capabilities, and he scores you 5.3 points, you automatically don't like the guy. I'm sorry. No offense. I'm sure he's a nice dude. But, they did their thing. They're very ground and pound. And it was just handoff. Minnesota can't stop it. Handoff. And that was the whole game. Glad I didn't watch very much of it because it just looked like not a fun game to watch. If you like field goal kickers, that's your game to watch. Very interesting divisional battle between these two, I guess. One team underperforming, one team performing, but not. Carolina, I feel, really has to get a win here. I'm gonna go with the Panthers at home. This is one of those either way kind of games. But I think Carolina's desperate enough. They played good enough football at the back end where they get a little bit of momentum here and get the first win of the season at home over the Falcons. Now you got the Cleveland Browns and the Green Bay Packers. Packers, I said it. I said things are looking good for them. They had a nice little start of the season where they just get to rough everybody up in Lambeau. I mean, you got to take that team seriously, man. They showed up again. They beat a good Washington team. They showed them who the boss was. I'm telling you, you gotta look out for this Packers team. It's insane. How like they've made that leap. You get Micah Parsons in. Jordan Love's playing better football. They do have some concerning injuries. Losing Jaden Reed hurts, but for the most part, this team is still in a really good position. And then you get to go on over to play the Cleveland Browns, and it's like, is this even a road game? Is this like the Browns look like the Browns again, getting just destroyed by the Ravens? I mean, the Ravens had some frustrations to take out after blowing that game against Buffalo. They had to be up and ready. Like it had to happen. They had to have that moment. If you don't decimate a team like the Browns after you blow a game like that, then your whole season's like you're starting to lose it at that point. Browns are just not a great team. This is just what they're going to be all year. That's just, it's about the only thing worse throughout the history. Probably maybe like being a Lions fan or a Bills fan, because at least our two franchises have gotten some kind of resurgence. Cleveland, I don't think that's ever going to happen. They had Baker Mayfield, that didn't work. It's just they can't ever seem to pick the right guy. It's like me in fantasy with quarterbacks. Give me the Packers here by a bunch. They're just a better team. That could get ugly. It could get Baltimore ugly. Jacksonville and Houston. Houston had a real shot at beating Tampa Bay there, and they blew it at the end. That team's offensive line is just terrible. I feel like I've been a little unfair to CJ Stroud, and it is partially on him. You got to make plays if you want to be considered a top quarterback, if you want to be considered the level of just below elite, etc. You got to make those plays. You got to play better despite your surroundings. But, I mean, when you have an offensive line that they have, it's ugly, man. Who knows if it'll get better? This is just one of those things where it's like you might be wasting another year. You might be wasting another year. Like you don't know. You don't know. And it's that like there is some work to be done there. Jacksonville, I'm not sure what to think of them yet. They're just a team that every week like, the first 2 weeks has just been I don't know what to expect out of them. Trevor Lawrence got some things to work on. So at some points he's looking good. It's just been the story of his whole career. I mean, people projected him to be this generational elite quarterback, and he's all right. He's all right, and sometimes he plays a little higher than that. But losing to Cincinnati in such fashion was like against Jake Browning. I mean, but give credit to Jake Browning. Like he's probably the best backup quarterback in the NFL. Like he's up there. Like when he had to fill in 2 years ago, he was that guy. But in this game, Jacksonville can control the line of scrimmage. I think they have this easily. I think they have this good on Houston. Crazy to say it. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars in this game. I'm taking Jacksonville. Take Jacksonville over Houston. Man, that division you just never know anymore. I think I'm only going to rule out Tennessee this year just because of Cam Ward being young. But man, it could be even more of a toss-up next year. Yeah, Minnesota and Cincinnati. Carson Wentz versus Jake Browning. Everybody had that on their bingo cards 2 weeks ago, right? Right. Now, all the injuries, quarterback injuries are tough. I just need a speech on here about Cincinnati in general. This is Andrew Luck level stuff here, man. Like this, like I have never seen a comparison to quite like this. I know Andrew Luck didn't make a Super Bowl, but it's like generational talent was getting his career wasted because his team doesn't want to take care of him. Yes, you're going to pay these wide receivers, and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are both worth the money. Believe me when I tell you, both of those receivers are worth all that money. But when you refuse to pay for good offensive line play, your franchise quarterback gets hurt. Especially a guy like Burrow who isn't like mobile like Mahomes and Lamar and Josh. It's just what happens. And it might have a CJ Stroud down the line. He might get hurt like that too. It's how many more years of his prime are you going to waste? Like, they had that magical little Super Bowl run. It's been almost 5 years now. Like, you can't live off that forever. And it's insane what that franchise has just irresponsibly done to him. Like, they have already probably chipped another 2 or 3 years off his career from him just getting his foot messed up every fucking week. It's insane. And I don't know words for that. I couldn't imagine wasting quarterback in his prime. It could be very much Andrew Luck, Colts-esque down the line. Because when do you say is enough? On Minnesota's behalf, it's an unfortunate thing with McCarthy. Another guy, he was injured all last year, and now he's injured again. And it's like, okay, is this going to be a recurring theme? It's a tough spot there and now, and you gotta make way with Carson Wentz and hope he still has productive football in his arm. He's just been relatively sitting on the bench for a number of years now as a backup, but he hasn't been playing a lot. Been to Kansas City, he's been a few places, but with what's left on the table, I'm going to take Cincinnati. I think Browning's experience 2 years ago, I think he played really well in that stretch, and even back in this game, I know he threw 3 interceptions. I don't know, man. There's something about Jake Browning that I really like. Like maybe because we share a name. I don't know, man. He played up to it last time. Last time he was called up, he showed he had something. So I got to give him credit for that. So let's take Cincinnati. I feel a lot more comfortable taking that. Now we got Pittsburgh and New England. This used to be a marquee game on the NFL schedule every year, but now here we are. We are with these teams now. They're mid-card, mid-level teams. Pittsburgh got exposed last week. Made a mistake. Caleb Johnson. It was not their week. It was not their week. They lose to Seattle. Some of their flaws are starting to show, and I'm surprised Aaron Rodgers hasn't already gone on and told the Steelers to cut Caleb Johnson. Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't happened. And look impressive. On the other hand, New England played a really tough game, held in there tight. They really did. They held strong against Miami in a game that historically, recently in the last 5 years, they usually blow that game to Miami. They always have found a way in recent history to let Miami just have it on them. They're just like, yep, even at the back of the Tom Brady's career, they're like, have it, we're gonna blow it to Miami again. That they kind of felt like they overcame that a little bit, in that game. So kudos to them, kudos to the coaching staff. They kept it together. In terms of momentum for both of these teams, 1-1 apiece. Pittsburgh has some stuff to correct, and New England's playing some promising football. Who gets the 2-1? I'm going to take New England. I didn't think going into this I was going to, but I've convinced myself. I know Pittsburgh's defense. The whole thing is Pittsburgh's defense. They've averaged over letting up like 32 points a game. Is their defense even good? I don't know. They haven't proved it. And, New England's defense hasn't looked that sharp either, especially last game. But I'll take the Patriots. I'll take the Patriots in like a 1-point game there. That should be a fun little back and forth. I hope so. All right, we got Rams and Eagles. Rams are really showing it, man. Like, you have Matt Stafford, and then you give him elite options to throw to. He's just going to show you. He's going to show you how good he is. You got Nakua, you got Devontae Adams. You're feeding them both in fantasy. You're making everybody relevant. Like, the Rams are friggin' impressive, man. Matt Stafford, at his old age, hasn't lost a friggin' step. It's insane. Now, on the other side, the Eagles got another win over Kansas City. And they played team ball. Jalen Hurts, I think he got 101 yards passing. Came in and played team ball. They won with team ball. Like, you can't be mad about that. You can't. Now, in the conversation of is Jalen Hurts top 5 quarterback, all right, now you can start having that conversation. Like, maybe he's not. But, again, you do what you need to do to win a football game. So at the end of the day, because like I said, you can point back to Buffalo and say, Josh Allen didn't do a lot this last game because he didn't need to. And that's fine. And that's a fair point. But, these are two really good football teams. And to manage to smack this bad boy on week 3 was good play by the NFL. It's a tough choice, but Philly getting it at home. This is the playoff rematch from last year as well. Didn't even mention that. I'm going to take the Eagles here. That'll be a good game. Might be game of the week. And you got the New York Jets in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay hitting them with a thriller, man. That's Tampa's really feisty. Got a good offense and, man, underrated defense. Their last 2 performances, like, been big time on defense. And, the credit's got to be given to them. Baker Mayfield doing his thing. He's got Ibuka. Tampa's offense has been really great. on top of it. They're playing good football. Tampa Bay's playing good football, playing clutch football. There's a team that they're in the dance. When you get to the playoffs, they'll be there. They're gonna go the whole way, maybe not, but they're gonna be there. They're gonna be in the dance. And then you got the Jets, who are the Jets. We gotta elaborate. Kind of elaborated on that already. They went to beat down City against a good team, and I think the same thing happened this week. Tampa has a good defense. Tampa's gonna give it to them. They're gonna give it to them. Give me Tampa by like 14 in this game. Tampa's gonna make it. They're gonna take their lunch and eat it right in front of them. All right, you got Indy and Tennessee, classic AFC South showdown. Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones. He did it again. He done did it again. Controversial call at the end. But let me tell you, man. Giants fans, punch it air. Everyone I know is poor Big Sexy. It's like finding yourself in the right place. And Pontiac Pennies himself, Penny Boy, Danny Dimes again. He's upgrading back. He's earning his nickname again, man. I tell you, I wouldn't have guessed that. I thought, okay, maybe you can win that job over Anthony Richardson. He's very much up. But I'm like, wow, I did not see this coming. And you have the Tennessee Titans. They're about what I expected out of them this year. They're gonna play some complimentary football, and then sometimes they're gonna look like shit. It's rookie quarterback syndrome, and you see that a lot. And throughout the year they'll get better. There's lots of ups and downs that come with rookie quarterbacks, and I'll honestly, in general, I don't feel like there's a lot of good supporting talent yet at the moment either. So Cam Ward comes into a situation more like Josh Allen did in Buffalo, unlike a Patrick Mahomes did in Kansas City, or like a Jalen Hurts did in Philly, where there's a good situation set up for these guys already. Not the case here. You gotta earn this baby from the ground up. The Colts are a better team, and I think they win this game. More convinced now than ever about Daniel Jones. You got Washington and Vegas. Vegas been playing some good football. They had that sharp game against New England. They have that interesting game going on with the Chargers. Washington, they got to show back up. Like getting, they got that good win against the Giants and getting manhandled by Green Bay. These are the games you got to show back up for. You got to say, we're not a one-trick pony. This wasn't a one-year thing. We got to come back around and prove ourselves. And I think they do that this week. Do I think the Raiders are going to hold their own? I think they do. I think they're a lot better than giving credit. Geno Smith's doing his thing. Pete Carroll's got that team on lock. Like, I'm a Pete Carroll guy. I love Pete Carroll, and I believe in that team. But I believe in Washington a little more in this game. So give me Washington in a close one. Like that it seems like it might be a fun game. All right. Denver Chargers. Denver, they look really good on offense. They did. It's a shame the way things played out for them. Again, controversial calls, etc. But, that's a good football team right there. And honestly, the way Kansas City's looking, this could be an AFC West championship game. I don't know. I'm not gonna go that far. Not gonna go that far just yet. But one can dream, right? And these fan bases are dreaming of that. This is probably the first time in a long time that the floodgates have looked relatively open. I know Kansas City had that kind of rough start a couple of years ago, but it was never in doubt. You know what I mean? At that point, it was never in doubt. Kansas City, I don't know, man. Something's missing. Something, and the hurt receivers, etc. That's missing. But anyways, focusing on the teams that are here. Denver, I believe that they could win this division. They're my true belief. And the Chargers offense has looked impressive as far as we've gone in this season so far. And then beating Kansas City, that's everything you want right there. You know what I mean? You gotta put your foot on their throat off rip. So, I mean, I believe in both of these teams. Finally, I believe in like how far they're gonna go this year. It's going to be contingent on the quarterback playing how well their defenses hang on. And, the Chargers defense held its own against Kansas City. And the Broncos defense needs a little bit of work. I feel like they were rated very high at the start of the season. Not the best performance against the Colts, but again, that offense has been chugging along. Give me the Chargers in this game, but man, that could be game of the week too. That could be game of the week too. I very much believe that. We got Seattle and New Orleans, and I was right about San Fran and New Orleans. I said, even with Mac Jones playing, I think they can get it done against New Orleans because New Orleans isn't a good football team. And I got a love for Nola, but they're just not a good team. This is going to be a rough, maybe win 4-game kind of season for them. And things don't look a lot better this week either. You got to play Seattle, who just gave it to Pittsburgh. That game was close for a while, but when it mattered the most, they finished the job. And that's what's important. And it just seems like with Sam Darnold, maybe you got a real offense going on there. You play some decent defense, and you got something. You got something there, man. Listen, kudos to Sam Darnold, USC boy. He's done me every favor in the book. He sabotaged and tricked the Jets into drafting him so that the Bills would get Josh Allen, and then he sucked so that he could leave and go be good for other teams. That is a guy that I can't say anything, but that's my guy. I got nothing but love for Sam Darnold. And for my guy Sam Darnold, got them beating New Orleans here. I don't see how, this might be one of those rougher games for New Orleans. If Seattle's on their good stuff, they got this. Yeah, Dallas and Chicago. Dallas, the dramatics, that game. Wow. Dallas and the Giants always play good games, but I did not think I'd see that kind of barn burn. I didn't think Russ still had it in his arm, but he did. Good for him, man. He looked like his old self in that game, even if for a moment. A lot of this thanks to Malik Neighbors, but on the other end, Chicago, they got humbled. Dan Campbell said, "Oh yeah, you think I can't live without you, Ben Johnson?" And he said, "Hang on, 50 burger on you." Put the elbows, bit him in both his kneecaps and left him on the field. And the Bears got a lot to learn. Ben Johnson's got a lot to learn. Caleb Williams got a lot to learn. We're biggest Caleb Williams supporter you've ever seen, and he's gotta hit the urgency button on figuring some of this stuff out. And I know it's a lot of pressure in season 2, but it's when you're designated as that guy, you gotta get it done quicker. That's just what it is. And it doesn't even gotta be elite play yet. You don't even gotta be elite yet. But you gotta show signs of life. You gotta show that you're improving, that you got something going. I'm gonna take Dallas in this game. I think they're a better team. They're gonna find their way, muscle themselves to 2-1. Get themselves back in the thick of things. Chicago's still going to have to figure some stuff out. Unless they prove me otherwise, they got some stuff to figure out. So we got San Fran and Arizona. Arizona is probably, I'm going to say this, Arizona is probably the worst 2-0 team in football. They just happened to run into some good matchups that they've almost blown both of them. They got New Orleans, they got Carolina. They could have lost either of those games. Kudos on the defense for locking in at the last absolute minute. But as a guy who's been streaming their defense for the last 2 weeks, it is frustrating. Their defense is terrible. They have the worst missed tackle rate in the league, and that's going to catch up eventually. You're not gonna get these matchups every week where you get Bryce Young still trying to figure himself out and Spencer Rattler every week. That's not going to happen. You're going to play real teams, and you're going to eat it. On the other side, you got the 49ers. They did their thing against New Orleans. And it's like I said, I feel like this team is – I feel, that they're a good core. And even without Brock Purdy, they're competent enough. They are competent enough to win football games with Mac Jones. And I believe that. And I believe that again because Arizona can't, they can't cover a bed with a sheet. And – at some point, something's got to expose them. They've played mid-level quarterbacks for the last 2 weeks, at best. And Mac Jones is that, but I think Mac Jones provides a little more experience. I'm going to take the Niners here at home. Give Arizona that little wake-up call to their defense. We got to figure this out. We've gotten away with murder here. Yeah, Kansas City and the Giants. I do not know how this was made a primetime game. This isn't me trying to rag on the Giants, but what the hell? Like, I'm literally seeing this for the first time. I did not know this until this moment. Like, the Giants got this primetime game. I don't get it. Although I will say this: this is the least threatening version of Kansas City. So I don't think they're going to get trampled. This game might be better than I give it credit for. In terms of it's going to be so low scoring and it's going to be one of those things like Kansas City, they need that win. They're going to need a win like that. Like they've hit those rough spots. They lost 3 games in a row dating back to the Super Bowl. You know, Patrick Mahomes never lost 3 games in a row before this point. You know, and they've looked like absolute shit for most of this. There's really been a couple little bright spots, but there's like, and you're playing a team like the Giants who had that offensive explosion against Dallas last week. You know, credit to them. And Kair Elam, who burnt toast, but can't believe Buffalo got a draft pick for that guy. I'm going to take the Chiefs here. Feels like a safe pick here. But I think the Giants will have a little bit of fight. I think the Giants will. I think they'll play better than I'm giving them credit for right now. Finally, Monday night, Detroit, Baltimore. What a game! Another early candidate for game of the year. Although they already got some stiff competition from a game Baltimore's already participated in, and a number of other games. Detroit, they literally just both brought the hammer down on divisional rivals last week. It's the same story. I could talk about one team, I could talk about the other. It's the same story. They brought the same energy, the same heat, and they beat down on Cleveland. They beat down on Chicago. They beat down on the bottom bitches of their division like they should have. They showed up. They played like top teams do against teams that aren't on their level. Give me the Lions because I love Detroit and screw Baltimore. I almost said it, but I'm going to watch my mouth right now. Screw Baltimore. I'm going to take the Lions because I love Detroit. But anyways, boys and girls, I've rambled on long enough. This has been the heel turn. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all again next week for more fun, more bitching, more of my wild observations, and hopefully I don't sound like this anymore because my throat hurts. Yeah. Just come on back, y'all. We love y'all from the KFR Sportscast. We're out.